What's up, guys? Today was a great day of doing less and being a lot more. Had some wonderful trades. CTRP was one of the main ones. It was something that I was looking for out of the gate to potentially have some either more upside and use 105s as a guide, or just like what we saw here and have some failed follow through momentum. So I got into this stock. I traded in both ETC and in E-Trade. I started into the first move. I got some 103s. I got some 102.80s. Just started very, very small. It looks like there's a lot of little arrows of ads and ads and ads and ads. But I was scaling into the trade and basically got about 1,500 shares short. There was about a 200 to 400 starter. Then another 200, and I added the last 500. Ended up being 2,000 shares short. I was really happy with the covers. I started to cover over here, and like I said, E-Trade, I did the same thing, and it worked out really well. I was basing my risk based off that 105 as sort of an idea, and then when I had the failed follow through momentum, it started to stuff back up towards the 102.50s. If you were watching it, and I was talking about it in chat, but 102.50s just kind of came right back up into it, and it was just like sell. Tried it again, tried to push through the 102.50s, and it was just somebody was there. So I felt pretty confident about letting the trade go. And if you take a look at the daily chart, this thing has been on a tear since the news. If you remember, I think I had something with QUNR. And I really haven't investigated it too much, but this thing had major range, and then it ended up selling off. And I think CTRP, just nobody really knows how to value it at this point. And it was just each dip was bought up. You can see if you zoom in a little bit, you can see. It got bought up over here, bought up again, and then the dip started to get bought, and it's closing higher each day. So it just really needed to overextend and push. And once it hit that wall, whether it was 105, 110, 100, whatever it may be, once it starts to look like it's going to go back towards that 100 over and under, you're going to get a nice little unwind and wash out under it. So worked out really well, got a nice little cover, but again, it was straight off the watch list. AVXL was another one. Eric and Phil have just been absolutely murdering this stock. Unbelievable. The amount of money that the two of them have made in the last since Thursday is just second to none. And I really applaud them for their patience and actually being able to hold through some of these ups and downs, especially with the size that they've had. But look, the bottom line is this thing is a very sketchy OTC that was fortunate enough to uplist. It had the story sells, as you guys know. The better the story, the more stock you can sell, and it's just got that cult style feel from all the OTC believers and all that kind of stuff. Look, yeah, it worked out from the 40 cents mark to the 60 cent mark to the buck 50, and it held all gains from then. And the buck 50. Basically, if you do 150 times 4, it's $6. So pretty much when it started to uplist, it was around the 150 to I think it was right around 150 to 160 or so, or whatever. So this is actually pretty even with where it went. And actually, if you go back, let me take these trades off so I can go to the daily chart. But if you go back, and this doesn't have the split adjusted on DAS yet, but if you're looking at this action, you can kind of see where it was, prior to the uplist. So, it's floated up from obviously over here, and they were supporting it, knowing that they're likely going to get uplisted, knowing that they're going to have some type of exit strategy ahead, and probably knowing that there was a pretty good short position. But now you're at people's averages over here. So now you've got all those people that are stuck from the uplist that were believing in it. It's very top heavy, and there's a good chance that it ends up kind of pulling back and retesting at least towards this area here, which is the 150 to 120, 130 mark or so. So With that said, if it goes to the 130s times 4, it's 520 split adjusted. So that's just my thought. Like I said today, that there was a good chance that it could, potentially get there, and it went down to the 590s. So I mean, it almost got there, but again, it just goes to show you that sometimes too good of a story is not the best investment, and unfortunately, a lot of the longs are learning the hard way. So. I remember something like this on PVCT, and it was the same type of all the longs, telling everybody, you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're talking about, this thing's the hottest thing since sliced bread, and this is going to be the whatever. And unfortunately for them, I mean, they're probably still long, and now they're down huge. So this was just a case of an uplist, a squeeze, and then reality came in. So there's a lot of skeletons in this one's closet, and that's the case with a lot of these uplists from OTCs, and they just were fortunate enough to have a short position on there. It squeezed people out for the last couple days, but smart money obviously used that advantage to get in there and get short, and it ended up being a really, really nice, more than 50% dropper. It's not every day that you get a 60-70% dropper in 3 or 4 days. So really, really big win, really, really nice trade, and borrows were not that hard to get, so it was nice to see a lot of people take advantage of this thing. So like I showed earlier, I had shorted pre-market over into this area. I took $1 to $1.50 per share, which was a nice little starter. I traded a little bit more, but it didn't really amount to anything major, and that was about it. Other than that, MNK, I had a washout trade. I was hoping to get in there after the halt and get one more big washout and then get long even more. I started in a couple hundred shares, had a mid 55 average. I wasn't looking to get involved with more than a couple thousand shares after I'm on the winning side, but no more than 1,000 shares on the downside, because you don't know with these things. You really don't know in this market if it's gonna pull back like BLUE did, and VRX and all those other ones. So it's better to go ahead and start in small if you're going to be trading it. This is not for new traders, obviously, but and then go ahead and add to winner once things start to put in a base and at least give you some type of potential solid risk versus a potential reward that makes sense. So anyway, that was a quick washout trade for me today. Other than that, WTW was a big gainer for me. I got short into, unfortunately I missed over here, but I got short into the morning push, and I got some 2440s, and then it went back through 50s. I added a little bit more, scaled back, started to go back up. I actually downsized a little bit, added a little more, started to ramp up, and you can see that it started to put in a top at that VWAP level. So I started to scale back in. Ended up being pretty nice and covered the majority of it in this area over here, but pretty much flatlined. I had left for the day for an hour or two, started to wash out, and it looked like it was going to snapped red, and it kind of had that feel that they were going to trap traders into thinking that it was going to go and then ramp it back up. So you can see how important here the VWAP level was. It pretty much held that line all day, which is pretty neat to see, because we've seen that a lot lately. So this one, hopefully it's crowded still. Hopefully they trap some people into here. Just because somebody took a stake does not mean that it needs to continue higher. It's definitely going to help it. But this thing is just on a tear right now. It's definitely a short squeeze, because this is not a natural move. This isn't something that typically would happen. But hopefully it exhausts all the shorts out, just like AVXL did, and then we get that nice little downside $2-3 day or whatever it may be. So other than that, my only other trade was MU, and we've been trying to short this thing on pops the last couple of days. It's been working really well. You can see it's really at a chart breakdown, which has been a really good play for us lately, especially with MW the other day. VMW, this was another a couple days over here, like this day that a gap down and a few of the other days, just failed follow through momentum has been a great trade on those chart breakdowns. Once it's under that daily chart support, that's when you start to get some nice little action. This thing filled this gap, and it very well may go and fill this gap down here towards the low 15s, especially if SPY continues to pull back. So I think that's about it. The only other trade that I took that didn't amount to anything crazy because I was just trading light was the VRX idea. VRX idea this morning was basically pre-market. I'm looking for it to pull back. I'm looking for higher lows to set up, potential breakout trade towards close. It's a potential gapper, but I'm not holding it overnight. I'm not interested in that, but they have a conference call in the morning, so it was sort of that forward-looking event that people, want or need to get excited about. So you can see that it pretty much held VWAP all day, and it was trending. All dips were holding. So I ended up adding a couple, I don't know, maybe a couple hundred or 1,000 or so to the bottom line today. But either way, nice action. But for me, CTRP, WTW, and AVXL were the big winners today. So if you guys have any questions, reach out as always, and have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.